Was Jesus physically raised from the dead? There are two sides to this argument, the affirmative and the negative. The affirmative believes that Jesus was raised from the dead and that he is real, while on the other hand, the negative side believes that Jesus wasn't resurrected and that he wasn't real. Was he resurrected or not? Was Jesus a god or just a human? These questions will be answered by the affirmative and negative arguments. The historical evidence for the resurrection of Jesus Christ is very strong. Professors such as William Lane Craig, J.P. Morland, Gary Habermas, and others have done an especially good job of detailing that evidence. These professors have all clearly agreed to there being three truths to this argument. Firstly, the tomb in which Jesus was buried was discovered empty by a group of women on the Sunday following the crucifixion. Secondly, Jesus' disciples had real-life experiences with one who they believed was the risen Christ. And thirdly, as a result of the preaching of these disciples, which had the resurrection at its center, the Christian church was established and grew. The idea that there was no historical Jesus at all, and that Jesus Christ developed out of some purely mythic idea about a non-historical, non-existent figure has had a checkered history over the last 200 years. Its heyday was in the late 19th century and early 20th century, when it seemed fit with some early studies of the humankind about religions evolving around parallel patterns and being based on shared archetypes, as characterized by Sir James Fraser's influential comparative religion study, The Golden Bough. But it fell out of favour as the 20th century progressed and was barely held by any scholars at all by the 1960s. More recently, the Jesus myth, which states that there was no physical evidence for the resurrection of Jesus. Hypothesis has experienced some of a revival, largely via the internet, blogging, and print-on-demand self-publishing services. These ideas claim that the agreement on the existence of Jesus is purely due to some kind of iron grip that Christianity still has on the subject, which has suppressed and/or ignored the idea that there was no historical Jesus at all. After the affirmative and negative arguments, you can now decide whether you feel that Jesus was physically raised from the dead or was just a myth. Thank you for listening to our project. We hope this has widened your view on Christianity and religion in general.